For today's video, you will need paracord in either 1 or 2 colours, a snap hook, a paracord fid, needle nose pliers, a lighter, scissors, a ruler, and what I haven't shown here is 2 elastic bands and also another length of paracord about 3 feet. For measurements, I've put the 2 most common lengths of lead up, and you can just choose straight from one of those. Or if you want your own length of lead that isn't 4 foot or 6 foot, check the description below and I've put the calculation in for you. To join 2 colours, you'll need to use the mani method. I've rolled my colours up so you can see them on the screen. For step 1, we're just going to do this to one side of each colour, and step 2 we'll do to the other side of each colour. Now it doesn't matter which side you do each step to, as long as it's kind of the opposite side. So the first thing I've done is I've removed the internal cords. You get usually about 5 for this length, just to make a hollow cord. I would remove about 1 to 2 inches, and then take your scissors and you're just going to make a small cut about 1 centimetre, half an inch in from the end. To be honest, you could even do a little bit further in, just to prevent it fraying. Now what you want to do is take your paracord fid and just test that it can fit through, because here it doesn't. So what I need to do is just take my scissors and just cut a little bit more. You want to be careful with how much you're cutting because you don't want it to completely fray and unravel. Now once your paracord fid can fit through, you can just take your lighter and singe the frayed bits that you've just cut. This will stop them from fraying any further. Just lightly run the lighter because you don't want to melt the cord. Now you're just going to do the exact same with the green side. So I've already removed about 1 to 2 inches of the internal cords. I'm going to make my cut about 1 centimetre, half an inch in. Test that my paracord fid can go through it. And then lightly run the lighter over the frayed ends just to seal them up. Right, so that was step 1, which was really easy. So step 2, you're just going to take your fid again, and we're going to go to the other side. So you just twist these on. Now if you don't have a paracord fid, I'll put my other video up, and I also show you how to do it on a shorter piece of cord so you can see it a little bit better. I do recommend getting one of these though, they're so much easier, and you can get a set quite cheap for different sizes of cord. So once you've twisted that on, just take it through the cut that you've made and out the end. Pull it through a few inches and unscrew, and we're just going to do that exact same thing on the other side. Now what we'll do next is we just pull the ends until those cuts join together. I've cut about here because I'd looped them all together and my string got tangled, I won't lie. So just keep pulling, untwist any bits until your ends meet, like this. And that is it, that's the mani method, that's just how you join your cord. It's a bit more secure than if you just melt the ends and stick them together. What I like to do is just run the lighter again over it, just catch any frayed bits that you missed before. But that is your cords joined. Now onto the setup and braiding. So to set up, it's very similar to setting up the first or second part of your collars. You just take the loop and put it through your snap hook from the bottom up. You want to grab your ruler, and we're just going to measure the length of our lead. Now what I don't do, but you need to do, is include your snap hook in your measurement. So today I'm going to be making a really short lead just so you can see it on camera. So it's going to be about 1.5 foot long. So I'm going to measure out 18 inches. And then I'm going to add another 12 inches to that measurement. Now, regardless of the length of your lead, you want to add 12 to account for where the handle loops back on itself. But like I said, you will include your hook in this measurement. So I've got my loop that I'm going to braid around. I just like to face that towards me. just going to pinch these cords together to keep them in place. And I've got this bit here, these two strings, they're your loop, so you're going to braid around those. And these two cords are the ones you're going to braid with. So through those two, you're going to pull. I'm just going to do it one at a time. Just going to pull the length of cord through until you get the end. You're going to bring that through your hook from the bottom up. And then it's just going to go back down on itself and under. So grab it, pull it under, and then off to the side. And just pull straight through until you have essentially a single cow hitch or lark's head knot. Now, if you need to see this on a short piece of cord where you can see the whole thing, I'll also put that video here for you. Right, I'm just going to repeat with my green side, so I'm going to pull it all through. And then once you have the end, you're going to take it over, as you can see there, and then you're going to put it up through your snap hook from the bottom up. Put it down and under itself and pull it off to the side. It's just a bit tricky to show with this length of cord on camera, which is why I do recommend watching the other video, it does help. If you do get any twisted bits of cord like I have here, just untwist them and then make sure that you pull everything tightly. There. So now that we've set up, we're just going to re-measure. Make sure that we've not got our lead a bit too long or a bit too short. So I'm just going to measure at my 18 inches again. And then make sure I've still got my 12 for my handle. Perfect. Now before we get to the braiding, we need to make a little mark on our cords. So I'm just going to take my ruler and my loop and I'm going to measure 24 inches. Now you're going to measure this regardless of the length of your lead. So measure out 24 inches or 60 centimetres if you're working with centimetres. And you're just going to make a small mark here. Now I'm just using a pencil. You can use, honestly, you can use a hair clip, you can use whatever you want just to make sure that you don't braid past this point. We're going to braid up until this line, and then what we'll do is we'll use this mark to tell us where our handle should start. It'll all make more sense when you see it. So we take our loop to that line and that would be our handle. Right, I'm just going to set up and make sure that you can see the braid properly. I'm going to tape my snap hook to the table just to make it a bit easier for me. So I've taped my snap hook to the table. I've used my elastic bands to bunch up my cord. This just makes it easier with long pieces of cord to braid. You don't have to do this, but I just find it easier than pulling through whole lengths of cord. Now, if you have ever made a Cobra braid before, you can do this absolutely no problem. It's the exact same process. If not, I'm just going to take you through it anyway. So I like to work left to right. You can work either way, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to take my left cord, my pink cord, and I'm going to put it over my two center strands here. I'm going to take my green and move it over my pink. And then what it's going to do is it's going to come under those two center strands that you're braiding around and up through that loop. And we're just going to tighten everything together. It's important when doing this, when you tighten, that you just push your braids, every few braids up against the snap hook. This just prevents any of it slipping through use and revealing the inner cords. Right, I'm going to take my pink again, pop it over my center strand, take my green down, under the middle, and up through that loop. Pull everything to tighten. And push up. Now I'm just going to repeat that step before I go off and braid the rest. If you need any more cord, just pull through your elastic bands. Take your pink cord and pop it over your centre strands. Take your green cord down, over that pink, and then under those middle strands and up through that loop. Pull to tighten and repeat on the other side. Take your pink strand or your right side, pop it over the middle, take your green down, under and through the loop. Now that's all you're going to do, just keep repeating that until you get to that line that we've drawn. Now I've gotten to my line and I've moved everything up just so you can see it a little bit better. We're just going to create the loop for our handle, so grab those strands or cords and you're just going to bring the loop up and over until it meets where your braid ended. Now I'm just going to let that fall a bit loose. You can see that they're falling to the sides and you've still got your two in the middle. Grab those two in the middle and you're just going to keep braiding around those two. You're going to ignore the two on the outside and you're just going to braid around the centre two. That'll lock in your loop and then you just continue that braid right round and it'll create your handle automatically. So I'm going to take my pink and just pop it over to the other side. I'm still going to keep holding these centre strands. Take my green down over that pink and it's going to go under the middle and up through that loop, just like it normally does. I'm really hoping you can't hear my stomach is absolutely growling. Right, tighten those strands and you see that locks in our loop. Don't worry that we can see that at the moment because we're going to cover that at the very end with a king cobra braid. Right, still going over our centre strands in the middle. We're just going to keep braiding exactly as we were, right down. Take your pink over to the other side. I'm just going to pull some extra cord out here. Take my green down and under the middle section, up through that loop. And tighten. And that's it. We're just going to keep repeating that from now right the way round. As you do, as you see I'm doing here, keep pushing that braid towards the handle or towards the join. That'll just make sure that as you use this lead, it will naturally slip, but it means the more braids that you can fit in, the less it will slip and the less that you'll ever see the centre cords again. Right, I'm just going to keep braiding until I double back on myself. Okay, so now that we've finished that handle, you'll see that I've naturally just doubled back. I've fitted as many braids as I can. And ignore that part here, I was just experimenting with something for another video, which will come out later this month. I'm just going to take my ends, thread them through a few of the loops to keep them sturdy, and then we're just going to finish off. So it doesn't matter which colour you start with, just grab your paracord fit again, and you're going to twist it onto your end like you did before. Now I'm just going to find just the nearest side loop, so this one here, and I'm going to put this through that loop. Now we did braid quite tightly, so this bit might be a bit tricky. If it is tricky, you can always use your pliers to kind of loosen that section. But bring your cord all the way through. And then for this one, I'm also going to put it under one of the centre braids, one of the pink bits, just to make it really secure. I'm not going to do that with the other one because I don't want to make it too bulky. But I'm just going to put it under one of these pink loops. Again, it is quite tight, so bear with. And then once it's all the way through, we're just going to finish off how we would normally. We're going to cut off the end, singe it, and make sure it adheres to the cord. So I would cut about 1 centimetre, half a centimetre, and then making sure that everything else is out of the way because you don't want to burn any of your braid. Just going to take my lighter, melt that end, and then you can use a teaspoon for this or you can just use your pliers. You're just going to press it in until it singes to the rest of it, and what that means is it'll just stick and it'll be quite tricky to undo. Now I just need to finish off my pink side. Take the paracord fid and twist it on again. Now I'm not going to do the loop right next to the pink, I'm going to do the one up, just because the green is through that loop, so it'll make it a bit tricky. I don't want all of the bulk to be in one little section. So pop it through. And then with this side, I am just going to cut and singe it where it is. I'm not going to put it through any extra loops. You want to just make sure it's quite tight, so it's keeping that handle together. Take your scissors, again about half a centimetre to a centimetre, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. Take your lighter and melt the end. Press down to adhere it to the other cord. Now our final step is to use that 3-foot piece of cord in one colour to make a King Cobra braid. Now King Cobra braid is essentially just a Cobra braid over a Cobra braid, so if you know how to do this lead, you can do this last part easily enough. Find the centre of this piece of cord and pop it under, I would say about 2 inches from where your handle joins up. We're going to cover all of this bit. Put your ends together and just make sure it is as even as possible either side. And then all we're going to do, as we do with a normal Cobra braid, I'm going to just take my left side. It's just 'cause that's the one I prefer. Put it over my lead. Take the right side down. And then it's going to go under the lead and up through that loop. Don't worry if it shifts at this point, because you can always just adjust it before you really tighten it. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then we're just going to take the side that's gone over the first time and put it over again. Take the left side down, under the lead, and up through the loop. Now you can either adjust as you go, or you can go back with your pliers and adjust once you're finished. I'm trying to adjust as I go here, but to be honest, it is easier to adjust once you're finished. But play around with it and just see what you prefer, because everyone's different. Once you've run out of cord, essentially, we're just going to finish off our King Cobra braid. Now I'm not going to tuck any of these cords because I don't want to increase the bulk. This is already quite a bulky area of the lead. Before you do cut and singe though, I would recommend going back and forward with your pliers, just making sure everything is tight and where you want it to be, make sure it's nice and neat. Once you've done that, we are just going to do what we did with our other cords. We're just going to cut them, melt them, and make sure that they're stuck to the cord. And there we go, one Cobra braid lead in 2 colours. I hope that this video has made sense. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please leave any comments below with anything that you would do differently, or any questions you might have, or just any parts that you liked. I'll be aiming to do a video every month, so please come back and join. And as always, as every YouTuber likes to tell you, like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye!